Hello geeks and gamers, Matt Lemke here today with another figure forge. And today's figure forge is going to be the Illithid Raiding Party. It's Dungeons and Dragons Collector Series from Gale Force 9. And I hope that I can do these 5 models in about 15 to 20 minutes. I already cleaned them up. As you can tell, they're pretty clean. I might have missed a couple things here and there as I was doing it. My lighting is not always the greatest for working in. Like for example right there, I missed a little bit, but it's just a little bit of fuzz. You can take it off almost by blowing it. It's 5 models. They should go together fairly easily, so we're going to pull them all off to the side. Excuse me while I do that. And we're going to go ahead and start with one of the ones that has the most amount of pieces. And I'm going to kind of do it in a... We're going to call it a... factory line fashion. Usually what I do is I put together one piece at a time on each model and I rotate through and let the glue dry. So I'm going to zoom in as far as I can so that we can be seen. And I'm going to start by gluing the knoll into his base. I'm using Zap-A-Gap glue. Now it is important that you note that the bases are marked for the models, and if you can see that the knoll kind of doesn't fit on here. I'm gonna push him onto there and I'm gonna glue him on there a little bit. Oh, see that? I could have cleaned them off a little bit more, so I'm gonna take my file and I'm gonna do that right here while I'm on camera. Now I'm gonna have to move my camera, so. And now that I fixed my camera angle, I'm going to finish what I had started and file that little burr off his foot a little bit. Take my X-Acto knife, clean it off a little bit more without cutting my finger. This is pretty soft plastic. His spear is pretty straight now. When he came out of the box, it was almost a C or a D. It looked more like a bow. I applied some heat to it. I'm going to put some glue on his foot. I guess at home you don't want to do that. So be careful that you don't do what I just did and break the model. Because even though I broke the model, that's not an easy fix. I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. This is not a piece that I'm going to be able to pin. I may have to come back and epoxy it. I'm going to put more glue on the base here because you're going to need it. Now all in all, the advantage, not the advantage, but the good part about this break is that this is a light model. That's the only good part. So I'm going to hold this until he dries. Hopefully it'll hold while I work on the rest of the model and I don't move him too much and bust. And if you're careful, you won't glue your finger to the base like I did. So I'm going to set him aside, move his parts aside. Then I'm going to pull in the next piece, which I'm going to go with the base of the Mind Flayer. and put the Mind Flayer Mage on his base. Set him aside, let him dry. Then I'm going to grab the Mind Flayer Warrior. He'll be next up. Make sure he fits in his hole. Make sure I'm happy with it. I'm not. So I'm going to take a drill bit. Just widen that hole a hair. This is a lot bigger than the hole that I'm putting into it, but he's got to have his foot in two places, or his feet in two places. So I want to be able to be sure that it'll almost go all the way in. I actually want to get his foot flat. I may have inadvertently mixed up the bases because I cut them all off, and they are labeled. These were the bases, so don't be as careless as I was when you take your models apart. I'm going to try and cut a little bit of this off, or scrape some of it off, I should say. Widen this hole a little bit more. Where did they go? Because I'm pretty sure that I put him in the wrong place, and I want his foot flat. It'll give me more to adhere to. That's a lot better, I think. His foot fits now, and his other foot will fit. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue right here and on his other foot, because his other foot will find its natural resting place that way. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, and a little bit in the hole, and on his, I believe that's his right foot. Set him aside. As soon as he's manageable, let him dry. Then I'm going to grab the Durgar. And I'm going to clean off his base a little bit more. Not his base, his peg was a little rough. I'm actually going to shorten it a little bit. Just cheat. Put him in. He fits on the base really well. Again, I'm going to do the same principle, except I'm going to do both of his feet. I'm going to put glue on the peg, let it run down a little bit, and on the ball of his foot there that he's standing on as he's running forward or walking forward. And then I'm going to kind of hold the base where I want it to be. And he's one that you could probably set aside right away. Or maybe not. No, I can set him aside. And then I'll grab the shrieker, which actually the shrieker almost doesn't need glue. Just kind of pops in, and bam, it's assembled. If you do a lot of traveling, you probably want to glue it just so you don't break it. Big base, so you don't need a... That's enough glue for the whole base section, I'm sure. Just let it fill up there a little bit, roll it around. I'm going to put a little bit of glue up here. And this model will be done as soon as I pop this in. Now you want to be very careful not to force this model around, because this spot here is very fragile and it'll be very difficult to reglue. In fact, I would recommend that in shipping they have a piece of plastic that runs from right here to the head, or the brain I should say. I would leave that in while you assemble the model and then cut it off afterwards. Set that one aside. That model is finished. Go back to the null. The null's got 2 more parts. We're going to go ahead and do the shield arm first. Shield arm goes to the front of the body. The null's kind of running around, jerking his body, flailing in a weird fashion, changing direction. That is how the shield goes on this model. Now, you might want to wait until after you have the model painted to do this, because that is a tight area to paint. And then you can set that aside and let it dry. I'm going to go ahead and grab the warrior next and do his sword arm, not his sword hand. As you can see, it's a pretty wicked looking sword. Almost a axe type of weapon. And the best way it fits, it's supposed to fit out to the side of the cape, cloak, something like that. It's not quite a perfect fit, so I'm going to attempt to clean this up just a hair. Now you have to be very careful when you're doing this, because that blade is very delicate. I'm not even touching it. It might look like I'm touching the blade, but it's actually floating behind my finger. But if I slip, I will not only cut my finger, but I'll break the blade off. And again, you might want to put this on after you paint, because that gets to be a tight area. A real tight area. But since this is a figure forge, I'm not waiting. I'm going to put the drop of glue in there and assemble the model. And shoot myself in the eye with the arm. There. With any luck, it'll dry relatively quickly for me, and I won't glue my finger to it. I really wish it was out farther. I'm going to try and force it out a little farther, so I can get in there and paint. Now I can set that aside. You can see right there that it's not a perfect fit, but I wanted to be able to get in there. If you do it afterwards, you'll be able to do that. In fact, you can cut the knob off and probably make that a lot tighter of a fit. I'm not going to be able to do that now. I'll break the arm. And we're going to come over here to the mage, the Mind Flayer mage, and we're going to put his crooked wand / staff rod arm on, whatever you want it to be. It's a little long to be a wand. I'd say it's a little too natural to be a staff. Maybe a rod. I don't know. It's twisted. It's corrupt. Just put a little bit of glue in there. This is probably going to be one of the easier fits because it's got a square peg. There you go. As soon as that sets, you can put it down. Oops. If I stop moving it around, maybe. Yeah, if I stop moving it around, it'll dry. My finger's actually cramping from holding it there. I'm trying not to break the other side. His other arm. I can move him over to the other side and let him rest. Come back to the knoll. And his arm goes together just like that. Piece of cake, right? That's sometimes easier said than done. Put a tad bit of glue, well, a little drippy, droppy thing of glue. That's actually probably too much. Then we'll go back to the Durgar. His hands appear not to be a perfect fit. Or, no, his sword, his mighty hammer definitely goes up. So let's try one more time. You got to be really careful with this because this weapon of his is very fragile. Oh, it fits real good actually. It's just the way the finger looks. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue there. Hopefully not too much. And a little bit here. I'm going to focus on putting the hand closest to his body together first, and then getting the other one in and set, which went quite well. I thought I was going to have a lot more difficulty once oops. If I let go, I'm going to have a ton of difficulty. Like that. See, I just dropped it in some fuzz. Get that in there. Line that up like that again. Push down on the one arm. He's done. Now we'll do the other sword This one is the hand of the warrior, which is simply, it just goes like that. But before I do that, I'm going to clean this up a little bit, which on an Illithid I'm not sure matters too much. Their stuff's pretty wretched looking and wickedly morbid. So I'm going to put a drop of glue here. Slide his weapon on there, like that. Piece of cake, right? As long as it dries. That one had the right amount of glue. Then we're going to move back over to the mage, and we're going to look at what piece is going to go on here first. His hand. If you can see it, this piece here has a little round dot in it that goes in his hand right there and is casting onto his wand, his evil looking roddy wand thing. I am going to put it on however it fits and not play with it too much. So I'm going to put my little bit of glue here. Get it in there like that. And just let it dry. I'm not going to worry about it touching the wand. That's going to be way too much work. And, well, it just so happens that it does. Now I'm going to try and glue the head on. I don't normally do this while another part is drying. But I wanted to see how hard it's going to be to get his head in there. And, oh, it helps if you do it right. And at home, definitely do the head first. Definitely. Or it'll end up like this head and probably not fit right. Well, that's not so bad. I think it should be turned a little bit. I'm going to try and do that. Yep, it should definitely be turned a little bit. There you go. It's not a perfect fit, so you're going to have to maybe do a little epoxy work. But the square peg doesn't quite fit in. If you want these tentacles to line up, you definitely have to do the head before the arm. Now, I'm sure all my glue is dry by now, so I'm going to put another drop in here. And now that I know what I'm doing, I'm going to try and do it again. Yeah, I look like I know what I'm doing, don't I? There we go. Oh, it does have a good fit if you do it right. He's really looking off to the side. Look how nice those tentacles fit together. That's awesome. Then we have the warrior's head, which I didn't do yet, and I'm going to go ahead and play around with it before I put glue on it. kind of get a feel for where everything's going to roll out. And we're going to go ahead and put some glue on it now and make this a done model. Now his fit isn't as tight as the other Mind Flayer head, so you're going to have to hold it here until it dries. And it's not an easy hold. Once it's dry, it should look something like that. And there you have it, folks. You have the Illithid Raiding Party, plus my mistake of busting the leg of the knoll, which turned out okay. You can, if you look real hard, you can see the break in the seam there, but not there where it's really going to be most visible. A little bit of paint will probably hold that up a little bit better, hide it better. It took me, what, I don't know, longer than it should have. 15 to 20 minutes tops is what this set should take. That's the Illithid Raiding Party from Gale Force 9's Dungeon Collector Series. Assembled fully. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to us on YouTube, or if you're watching it on our blog and you happen to like the pages that you've seen so far, go ahead and click on any of the social media links that you can find at the right hand side of your screen. It's Matt Lemke with Through Gamer Goggles, and thanks for watching.